right, good afternoon. Thanks, Samantha, for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here today with you guys. Just flew in from Colorado, where it's still wintertime, so loving the beautiful weather. So you said we're ahead of schedule, settle in, might be a while, you know, we'll get us back on track. I'm just kidding. All right, well, appreciate the opportunity to be here today. When I was thinking about what to talk about today, had an interesting experience about a month ago. I'm a member of the Houston Pipeliners Association, and they have their monthly dinners and speakers. And there was a topic that was presented by the Natural Gas Pipeline Journal, and the topic was Natural Gas Pipeline Global Outlook. This is great, global outlook, natural gas. Here we are, Appalachia. We're like one of the biggest basins in the world. Can't wait to hear this conversation. And actually sat at the table with the people from the Pipeline Journal. And they went through the whole presentation, and there was one thing missing that bothered me so much, I even asked my question at the end. They didn't talk about Appalachia. And I said, why didn't you talk about Appalachia? You talked about the whole world, but not us. And I think everyone here in the room knows the answer. There's constraints with midstream. Pipeline's challenging. Pipeline in the area is not growing. And that's why it wasn't in the journal. So thinking about what to talk about today, it really made me think about why Stonehenge is invested in Appalachia, why we're all invested in Appalachia. Because it truly is one of the best basins in the world. So, follow me in my journey here to talk about the history of Stonehenge, why we've invested in the area, and where we're going from here. Just a little history. I know it's very small, apologies. But Stonehenge, you may have heard of us, you may not have heard of us. We're a midstream owner and operator backed by private equity. But we've actually have a pretty good history here in Appalachia. We've been around since 2007. So for a private equity-backed company, it's actually a really long time. We're in our third iteration right now. So Stonehenge was formed in 2007. The ownership is mainly backed by Energy Spectrum Capital. They're out of Dallas. And then also our management of Stonehenge. So that's our main logo. We've owned and operated 4 assets in the regions, primarily in Butler County. So the first asset is Keystone Midstream Services, formed in 2009, was actually provided gathering and compression, as well as gas processing for Rex Energy, if you remember those guys back in the area. So we built the Bluestone plant, if you're familiar with it, as well as Sarson and Trilith, and sold that asset to Mark West in 2012. After that, we formed Stonehenge 2, and our first asset in Stonehenge 2 was Stonehenge Appalachia, again with our friends and partners, Rex Energy, another gathering system that delivered into the Bluestone processing plant. We did sell this asset to UGI Energy Services in 2022. We still own and operate Stonehenge Laurel Gathering. That's another wet gas system up in kind of the northeast corner of Butler County into Clarion County. It's about 12 miles of gathering system, and it delivers into Energy Transfer's Revolution system, in particular the Galaxy compressor station. And lastly, Pine Red Midstream. This is under our Stonehenge 3 entity. It's a joint venture with UGI Energy Services. It's a dry gas system located in Butler County, a little bit of western Armstrong County. About 45 miles of pipeline, over 40,000 horsepower of compression installed. That system delivers both to Big Pine as well as Berkshire Hathaway or Dominion. So yes, we do have a proven history here in the area. I like to joke and say it's all about the zip code, because with private equity, especially our backers, we can do business anywhere in North America. So we look at opportunities all over the place. Permian, the Bakken, you name it. But we always end up here, not only in Appalachia, but in Southwest Pennsylvania. And why? It's the zip code. This is a world-class premier asset, right? So first and foremost, I have up here, Pennsylvania's the #2 gas-producing state. If you add on West Virginia, it's #1. We produce the most dry gas in America. Also, the stacked play, the Marcellus, the Utica, Upper Devonian, other resources. Producer can drill many different layers of the same rock to get further production. That's pretty neat. That's pretty lucrative when you install pipeline infrastructure. What we always look for with our producers and anchor producers and customers, long-term contracts, so we can sustain our investments, get return on money, as well as drilling inventory. Does a producer have room to grow and continue to develop? Also, what's great about this area in particular, the processing hubs. There's Bluestone, there's Revolution, there's other processing hubs already established, as well as takeaway capacities in place. We're not waiting for others to develop the larger systems because we really focus on the small gathering systems. We also love looking at third-party opportunities. Perhaps we have an anchor customer in one area, and we can leverage that to get further growth with another producer nearby. All right, so here's my one slide on geology. I'm not a geologist, but I want to dive a little bit into the Stacked Bay potential and why it's important to us in Butler County. And this little black square up there is Butler County. Really, you have several regions. You have the wet gas, Marcellus. You have the Upper Devonian, which is similar, right near the Marcellus. And then down below, you have dry gas, Utica. If you head east in Butler County, you start entering dry gas, Marcellus. So very neat part of Pennsylvania in particular. Wet gas systems are different than dry gas systems. You must take the gas through processing. There's upside for the producer in that. It just takes a little more thoughtfulness and consideration when it comes to contracts and downstream. And so I also wanted to just share this. I think it's, again, pretty cool about the resource that we have. If you look, the green area, that's the Marcellus. The red is the Utica. So if you stack those two together, that's what Appalachia is producing, and it's roughly, I think, half of the total volume today. What's also neat too, since we've been a company since 2007, there was such little production in 2007. Look how much we as a basin have grown and evolved. And really, we view this basin as maturing, so the opportunities are maturing with that basin. So our operations area, primarily in Butler County, a little bit of Armstrong County, as well as Clarion County. So the asset up on the northeast side of or the upper right side of the screen, that's Stonehenge Laurel. That's our 12-mile system, wet gas system, delivers into Revolution. The shaded area that you see that's kind of brown, that's that wet gas fairway. So Stonehenge Laurel is sitting right there in the middle of that wet gas fairway. And then just down to the lower right is the Pine Run Midstream dry gas system. There's a couple of really unique things about the SLG system. The anchor producer is Laurel Mountain Energy. They are also our joint venture partners in that asset ownership. We love joint venture opportunities, especially with producers, because you really get an insight into their development plans, where they're going. It's really collaborative in our experience with having the producer also have a financial stake in the pipeline portion. There's also a pretty big environmental feature. The Allegheny River runs right through our delivery line that goes into Galaxy. I'll talk about that in the next slide, but it creates a barrier of an opportunity, because building a pipeline across the river was not a cheap endeavor or a quick endeavor, but it really unlocks all the wet gas potential in Clarion County, and we built the line to be able to handle that capacity. Also, with delivery system into Revolution, MarkWest isn't too far away either. So producers have the opportunity in the future to either go to Energy Transfer, MarkWest, or anybody else that might be in the area. So two large integrated producers, our midstream companies, invested in the area, and we believe in their investment as well as our investment for the future. So the bore of the Allegheny River, we're really proud of that. It took 14 months to complete this bore. It was 6,400 feet under the Allegheny River and a railroad. And we were installing a 20-inch pipe. So we did the pilot as an intersect bore, which is pretty awesome. If you've ever experienced it, you have two rigs going, and they meet like literally in the middle, just inches apart from each other. The ream pass is what took the longest because we tripped out frequently because we didn't want to have any cave-ins or anything like that. We wouldn't have the integrity of our pass be very structurally sound. That's why it took 14 months to do the ream passes and pull the pipe. So we feel this really gives us a competitive advantage for producers, not only Laurel Mountain Energy, but anybody else on the east of the Clarion River. We provided an open pathway to bring their wet gas to market. For Pine Run Midstream, again, this is dry gas system, so a little simpler, does not have to go to processing. But again, large area, dedication. Penn Energy Resources is the anchor producer. They are proven, well-known in the area. Several interconnects, there's actually 4 interconnects to 2 major pipelines, Big Pine and Dominion. Room to grow, as well as other opportunities are abounding. Snyder Brothers has systems, there's XTO nearby. So really, we're really excited. We purchased this asset in 2021, so right now we're in the early stages of really optimizing the system and growing with the producer. One expansion that we're really proud of actually occurred right after we purchased the Pine Run system. We added a compressor to our Vicker station. The Vicker station is really the heart of the system. The station was designed to accommodate 2 additional 3612 compressors, but we didn't have a lot of time. So from concept to execution, we did the project in 9 months with no compliance issues, no safety incidents. And really, for our strategy when it comes to growing our own assets, I have up here is the right team's the key. First and foremost, expertise is right here in this room, in this region, locally. So even though we're based in Denver, Colorado, our operations are here in Butler County. And we seek contractors and expertise locally as well. You guys here in the area have the expertise, the further resources, and the knowledge. Also, the upfront work is so important. You can never start early enough. Well, we formed a team called the SLEEK team. It's an acronym for Survey, Land, Environmental Engineering, and Construction. We've had this team going since, I think, 2015, 2016. So really, all of our upfront planning is so critical, working through the agencies, working through the land aspects. Really, we found that's the key to our success for successful execution of our projects. And then lastly, safety and compliance. First and foremost, we want everyone to go home safe to their families. We want to stay in compliance with our permits and all the agencies. So every person on our team has the ability to stop work if they feel something is not right and not safe. So that's a little overview of our current assets. I want to talk about where we're going with this maturing basin. And in particular, us being backed by private equity, we are a little bit different than larger companies. So this is really specific to what a Stonehenge is looking for as we're growing in the area. So the first one being greenfield opportunities are rare. So back when we got started in the area, so with Keystone, with Stonehenge Appalachia, and even Stonehenge Laurel, total greenfield, a concept on paper, maybe some land in right of way, and you're building the asset. With Pine Run Midstream, it was an acquisition. The asset had already been mostly built out and was flowing gas since 2017. So really M&A, mergers and acquisitions, is more common, becoming more common. The large greenfield opportunities that were there 5 or 10 years ago are just fewer and further between. Also, private equity companies must be proven operators. Back in before the shale revolution, a lot of times these private equity companies, you'd come in, you'd build, and you'd sell. In some ways, we've been considered midstream flippers, right? Where you're holding an asset for 2, 3, 4 years and you sell. That's really not the case anymore. We're holding assets longer, and to hold an asset longer, you have to be an operator. You have to live with what you build. And for us at Stonehenge, it's important, really for the last 3 ventures, all of our operations is in-house. So they're employees of Stonehenge, and all of our decision points really are being prudent operators in the basin, because we don't know how long we will be holding our assets. Also, midstream infrastructure being largely in place. Like I said, there's those hubs already. Bluestone's built, Revolution is built. So really, we're not looking to build the next gas processing plant. What we're looking to is daisy chain assets, build one and then another next door, build on, grow our current assets, or looking at acquiring other opportunities in the area. That's really our main focus right now. And then last slide, put tier 1 inventories reduced, and so the tier 2 becomes tier 1. So talked before, inventory is very, very important as you're looking at acquiring or building an asset. But as this tier 2 inventory becomes the more premier inventory, it unlocks new areas for growth. We're really excited about Indiana County, for example. There's neat things going on there that you may not be hearing about. Small producers blocking up land, making plans to develop, and there may be a need for pipeline infrastructure there, in the next couple of years. So we find that very exciting as we're evolving with the inventory. With opportunity always comes challenges. I know Mr. Catula talked a little bit about land. We understand the land challenges as well as probably one of our larger concerns when it comes to planning projects. The acquisition process 5 or 10 years ago would be fairly straightforward. It's taking longer and it's costing more. A lot of times the dollar per foot, the cost for land, can become cost prohibitive in some areas. If you end up adding a mile to a pipeline route that may be just cost prohibitive, may not make sense economically for the project. Also increasing labor and material costs, and that's tough. It used to be you can grab items quickly. Now we're purchasing materials much sooner. We're planning work much sooner because it could be a small part or a small piece or a crew that you might be lacking that is a difference between completing your project on time or being late. Also, pricing volatility. We're fortunate our producers have robust drilling plans in the next couple of years, but there's no doubt commodity pricing has an effect, and producers may be altering their development based on the current commodity pricing. And then lastly, which kind of where I started our conversation here, takeaway capacity is becoming constrained. Really, there's, from what you read, they say there's not really much left being built. Maybe Mountain Valley if they finish it, I don't know. But really there's not any large pipeline projects planned that I'm aware of, and if y'all know some, please let us know. That's really going to be increasing takeaway capacity from the region. So really as we look at capturing opportunities, our secret sauce really is making sure we manage our commitments with all of our current assets. We have contracts and commitments that we must fulfill. We have to balance that with implementing and expanding our midstream infrastructure to meet producers' development, new well connects, compression, adding compression to facilities, or even acquiring new assets. We've got to manage that all within remaining with our liquidity. So we can't go beyond the access to capital that we have. So we balance that out every day. So really our success requires just very intense alignment with our producers, all the agencies, landowners, communities, really everybody that's involved in making a project be completed successfully. So just-in-time spending is key. Doesn't do anybody good if we install a pipeline 2 years early, and there's no gas flowing through it. We don't want to do that, and our investors would not be pleased with that. But we also need to make sure our pipelines are installed on time, and that requires very frequent communication with our anchor producers. We also have to balance all of our pipeline routes. Like we mentioned before, we can't be rerouting, making long reroutes and changes, and also making sure that we're building the safest pipeline routes possible and remain within all the environmental constraints. And then the last development, it's iterative. Sometimes we pursue several solutions at once. When it comes to routing pipelines, sometimes we look at 2 or 3 different options. We look at installing pipeline versus compression and vice versa. So really trying to stay ahead and be creative has been very important in our success. And then also leveraging our partnerships. We view so many of our activities as partnerships. Number one, producers as equity partners. So in several of our ventures, like SLG, LME being an equity partner, as well as with Keystone Midstream Services, Rex Energy and Sumitomo were equity partners. So really gives a lot of insight into development and collaboration. Regulatory agencies, I could talk about that all day, but really having positive relationships. For us, we're in the Northwest region. Worked with those guys for many, many years. It's been very, very positive, and it's helped us really making sure that we are following our permits and really treating the land. It's so important to just make sure we're prudent in our development. And contractors and suppliers, we really like to have contracts in place where perhaps we can work together for a year, and we work on pricing together to secure unit cost pricing and know who's going to be showing up for our future expansions for the next year. I mean, this is helpful in times where there's a lot of volatility in pricing, things like that. And also keeping it local. We love keeping it local. Also fellow midstream companies. So of course, Energy Transfer, Revolution, we talk to those folks quite often. They're downstream of our system, as well as Mark West when we own Stonehenge Appalachia. Also UGI Energy Services, not only are they a joint venture partner with us in Pine Ridge Midstream, they're also one of the downstream pipelines of the system, Big Pine. And then lastly, our capital providers, Energy Spectrum Capital, as our main source of funding, as well as BOK Financial, which is our facility debt provider. So really, I'll wrap it up with our next phase, what we have going on here in a couple of years. First and foremost is to support our producers in their development plans. So for Stonehenge Laurel Gathering, our anchor producer is Laurel Mountain Energy. They're developing 2 well pads this year, actually turning 1 well pad in line this week. So very excited for them and their success, as well as looking at potentially adding compression facilities in the future. And then second, supporting Penn Energy in their production on the Pine Run Midstream Services and build out in terms of well connects and optimizing compression. And then really lastly, leveraging our expertise in the area and the running room that we have with our energy backers, energy capital backers, to grow, whether it be more asset acquisition, other greenfield opportunities, or even supporting our current producers. So, and really, for you guys in the room, if there's opportunities that you're aware of, let us know. We love to collaborate with folks. If you are, in your business dealings, you're like, hey, these guys have a great little gathering system. The best information is collaboration here in our community and knowing what's going on and opportunities that may present themselves. So thank you for your time, and let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, questions. So the Stonehenge Laurel Gathering is a wet gas play,
Yes.
And you guys push that down to a partner to do the fractionation, or do you do the fractionation?
We deliver to a Galaxy compressor station, which is owned by Energy Transfer, that then transports the gas to the Revolution system, and then it'll separate out the natural gas liquids, which go into Mariner. And then I think the dry gas, residue gas, goes into Rover.
Okay, good. So those are energy transfer
Correct.
facilities.
Correct.
Galaxy and,
And then the Revolution gas processing plant.
okay, great. Where's that located?
I believe it's not too far away from the Shell cracker. I believe it's in Washington County, maybe near Houston. Maybe somebody else knows exactly where it's at.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Huh? Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.